today is joined by Victoria Trofimenko, the writer and director of the film Brothers: The Final Confession, which has its Ukrainian premiere tonight here in Kyiv. Victoria, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
First of all, I wanted to ask about the landscape. Much has been said about this. It's set in the Carpathian Mountains. It's a really epic landscape which seems to suit the epic story. The film is adapted from a Swedish book. So why did you choose that setting to do it in?
The point is that the story originally in the book was developed in the Sweden mountains region. So it's a story of two highlanders, brothers who lives in mountain. And when I read the book, and I realized I want to shoot a movie based on it, and I want to screen it. I understood that I have to choose mountain landscape. In Ukraine, we have just two regions with mountains, Crimea and Carpathian Mountains. If I would transform the story to Crimea, then brothers would supposed to be Crimean Tatars or Karaims, which wouldn't fit the story because the story is so much Nordic. And emotionally is more Nordic than for like southern people.
Right. Why do you say that? What is it? Is it because the story has a lot of darkness in it, and it is about loss and depression? Is that why it feels Nordic to you?
Well, no, it's kind of a little bit. Firstly, it goes about snow. I'll start from it. Yes, and well, I can't say that in Crimea there wouldn't be the same depressed, but I mean it's too sunny, and the landscape would look differently. And yeah, when you've got a lot of sun and you can't have this winter which you need, so it was obvious that it's supposed to be western Ukraine, which is Carpathian Mountains, and. But the point is that the story itself, like a relationship between brothers, it could be anywhere, even in Crimea and even on the moon, anyway, in Switzerland, Sweden, UK, whatever. Just where the human are, the story would be. The condition of the story would better fit Carpathian Mountains. And
part of that setting in the Carpathian Mountains is that they have their own language there, a dialect of Ukrainian. Tell us a little bit about the process of working with that language.
Well, when I wrote the script, I was cooperating with Moh Perikalaba, Oleg Gnatiev. He is manager of Perikalaba band, and he's Hutzul by himself. And he helped me with the dialect, with the dialogues, because we were working in a Skype. Firstly, we go through all the script, and we adapted the dialogues. Then he was on the set every single day, but besides the days when he was supposed to travel with his band somewhere, in those days we had another woman, also Hutzul woman, and he was working with actors on the set. I was directing them, and then with their pronunciation, if they did something wrong, he corrected them. So, well, this is the way it was working.
Was it difficult for the actors and the actresses to work in that dialect?
Yes, it was very difficult. It was very difficult just for one actor who was based in Kyiv, and he's a Russian-speaking actor. So the Ukrainian is not a natural mother tongue for him, mother language. But for the rest, actors, I have found them in western Ukraine, in Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Ternopil. So for them, this pronunciation was more comfortable. They could do it, but they still were not familiar with this dialect. So they were working with this expert in dialect, but they were able to do it, besides just one actor, and so we had to dub him.
And how important is it for you as the writer and director that this film seems to contain a lot of traditional Ukrainian identity. Apart from the language, we see the way they live in the huts, they wear the traditional Ukrainian clothes, and the way of life they seem to live in the film hasn't changed much over the years, over the centuries. I just want to, in the current climate in Ukraine, where identity seems to be a very important topic, especially a potential divide between West Ukraine and East Ukraine, is these ideas in the film of Ukrainian identity very important to you?
Well, the fact that I was making a movie about two Hutzul brothers, and when you go into the mountain, no matter where you live, you can live in Ethiopia, you can live in Sweden, in Georgia. Highlanders are very hermetic people. They're very closed, and it's always different than with the life on the landscape, on the central area,
lowlands in the city, or right.
So it's always different because they're more closed. Like for example, when our the expert of the dialect, for the dialect, was asking his grandmother, does she remember Second World War? She answered him that, well, someone was shooting over there just a couple of times. Second World War. She doesn't even remember it. I mean, something was like sound like shooting.
Yeah. And so this, in the highlands, you mean they live an isolated life?
Yeah, one says that the highlands is isolated and hermetic people all the time who live in the highlands, and their life also is like freezed. And I didn't try to show difference between like Western Ukraine or Eastern Ukraine lifestyle. I just wanted to show. I just wanted to show to express this story. For this story, I didn't want to make a pedal on our national or patriotism theme. I didn't work for it. It was much earlier. The movie was finished in 2013 at the end, before everything starts, all this patriotic theme starts.
So yes, I was going to ask, so the film was conceived and shot and finished before we had the Maidan, right?
Yeah.
This is the pro-EU protest last year, and that gave rise to the current conflict. So this has all happened, this was all before that?
Yes, it was before, and it was very strange because in Russia, in Moscow, they thought that I was like a visionary. I saw the situation before it happened, could be, but but it wasn't like I didn't realize by myself what I'm doing. I just was telling the story which I have chosen, which was I started to work over the story in 2008. So I mean I couldn't even imagine it will be happened in the reality.
Yeah.
So there is nothing about propaganda or something patrioticness. No. It's just about Ukrainians, about difficult life on highlands, and this is the way it was. I mean, I was just trying to express the story, express the situation. And
I think, I mean, that way of life is independent of the politics now, right? So you could have written this story now, you could have written it before the Maidan. I mean, I assume that life they have in the highlands continues, right? Yeah, I think, yeah, it's still the same. I mean, well, it's changing, they do change, but there isn't much change, really. So, I mean, in particular, this is particular about such kind of people. You should understand that it's not a documentary. This is fiction. I was creating characters. Even in highlands, you can find, I mean, if not on the very, very top, you can find people who live differently and like more modern life. But don't treat it as a documentary. Don't treat Ukraine by this movie. This is the story I told. I mean, it's totally fiction story. So, I mean, I take it now you're not, you don't look perhaps very positively at political readings of this film. For example, people say, okay, this is a film about two brothers. Russia and Ukraine are also brothers, and they also have a difficult relationship like the two brothers in this film. Well, I don't mind if people read this way, because I mean, it means
well, I didn't put into it. I didn't mean it at the very beginning, but I still don't. But if people read this way, it means that you can read it in different levels. So it means the story is real. For example, in China, in Beijing, the girl stand up, the viewer stand up after the movie, and she thought, oh, it's like in Germany, like when they were separated, like and inside, like Federative Republic of Germany and different socialistic part. And yes, it works. It works on the different levels. Some people come and say, oh, it was the same in my family with my brothers or with brothers of my father. So I mean, you can read it on different, from the very trivial lifestyle, from the very trivial family stories to the global. Because where the people are, the story is. Because the roots of the story is inside of us, is in our behavior, in the human. It's about humans, love.
Fantastic. Victoria, many, many thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.